What's up everyone, 9th Jim here, back with another VGC 2020 Pokemon Sword and Shield competitive video, and today we're talking about Vaporeon. This is one of the last evolution Pokemon that I have to cover, and it's pretty cool. It has pretty solid bulk across the board with a really high HP stat and pretty solid special defense. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but when you are doing damage, it's pretty solid against super effective Pokemon, being able to easily two-shot things like Incineroar, Excadrill, even Charizard. Like, there's a lot of really good Pokemon that this can just scald into a two-shot, which is pretty cool. It also has pretty good move pool for, support attacks, as well as things like Haze, Helping Hand, Yawn, as well as being able to have a pretty deep move pool for special attack. Not a lot of coverage, but pretty good attacks in what it does have. So yeah, Vaporeon's pretty cool. Anyway, without further ado, let's talk about it. So, Water Vaporeon, Mono Water type, not a bad type, giving us 4 resistances of Fire, Water, Ice, and Steel, and also 2 weaknesses of Electric and Grass. Now, on both sides of the spectrum of resistance and weakness, we have a lot of Pokemon in those respective types. We have a lot of Pokemon that are Fire, Water, Ice, Steel, and same with Electric and Grass. All of them are pretty constantly played in the meta, so being able to use this pretty well with resistances and weaknesses and switching it in on correct times to soak up a lot of damage, it's pretty good. Its typing is pretty good for its defensive Pokemon. Also, we are using the ability Water Absorb, which heals 1/4 of your maximum hit points whenever you're hit with a water type move, so that resistance of water is pretty much an immunity, but things like maybe like Galarian Wheezing can knock it out, so that's why it's still not like a straight immunity. But when do you see that? You don't see that Pokemon like ever anymore, so yeah, whatever. Resistance, water, pretty much an immunity, but still, it's pretty cool. Water type is really good for a bulky Pokemon to just sit here and control the field with things like Icy Wind and Helping Hand, and it's pretty good. So, as far as our stats go, HP 130 is amazing. It's very, very high HP. If you want to Dynamax this Pokemon and use Weakness Policy, that's another way of using it. Since it has such a great HP, you're able to live an attack or two pretty easily. That's super effective, and then just deal a huge amount of damage with Weakness Policy. That's another way of playing this Pokemon. But as far as our bulk goes, defense at 60 is pretty low, but 95 special defense is pretty high, and it's pretty useful because most electric and grass type attacks are actually going to be special, with like maybe Power Whip being the only really used electric or grass type move that's physical, which is pretty cool. So you have to be careful of things like the Gyarados. You have to be careful of Gyarados Power Whip, not Gastrodon Power Whip, and things like Ferrothorn, a couple of other Pokemon maybe too, but yeah, not very many. So honestly, like, its defense being pretty low is not that bad. It's pretty manageable. But our special defense at 95 is very, very solid. And then we also have pretty solid offense stats. Special attack at 110 is very, very notable. And then speed 65 isn't great, but it's not the worst. It's not that bad. So yeah, pretty good stats. Overall, great typing, pretty solid move pool. Vaporeon has a lot of really cool things that it can do. So, without further ado, let's go into the actual build itself. So, we talked about ability Water Absorb being pretty good at essentially making water an immunity while also being able to heal. Makes it really good for switching into things, covering things like an Excadrill, Tyranitar, your Charizard. If you're thinking your opponent's going to max Geyser or, like Hydro Pump or Scald it, then you can bring in Vaporeon, heal up a little, which is pretty solid. And then it's in a really good position to be able to like supplement your damage with Helping Hand or put in Icy Wind work or even just do a little bit of damage. So ability Water Absorb is really good on this Pokemon. And then we have our item here, Wiki Berry. Any of the pinch berries will do as long as they don't mess up your because of your nature. But yeah, we went with Wiki Berry. It's pretty good. Pinch Berry is good for this Pokemon. A lot of things are going to knock it down to that 25 and less % range. Things like Leaf Storm from the Rotom, Grass, or Thunderbolt from any of the Rotom. Really, a lot of those are going to knock you down to that Pinch Berry, and then you get to eat the Pinch Berry and live another attack from their partner Pokemon, or take out that problem Pokemon, and then Vaporeon's just going at it, which is pretty cool. So yeah, Wiki Berry is good. You can also go with Leftovers. Since this Pokemon's super bulky, Leftovers will give you a little bit of heal every single turn, which is good, especially paired with something like Aqua Ring. That's a very good way of doing it as well. And then we also have Weakness Policy, which we touched on just barely. Since it's super bulky, you can Dynamax it, and then Weakness Policy is very good. Dynamax Weakness Policy is nothing new. It's something that almost every Pokemon can do pretty easily, and Vaporeon is one of those Pokemon that will be able to benefit greatly off of Weakness Policy Dynamax, which is pretty cool. Next, we have our moves. So as far as our actual moves go, we're going with Scald, Icy Wind, Helping Hand, and Protect. Now, this set is pretty, pretty standard. Scald being able to put out some damage while also potentially accumulating a burn, which is good. Icy Wind being able to control the speed of the field. Helping Hand being able to supplement your partner Pokemon's damage output, which is very great. And then also Protect just being able to help us live a turn or two. You can use Wish with Protect being a really good way of doing it. Wish healing 50% the next turn, and then hitting Protect on the next turn just so you can guarantee your heal. That's another great way of using this. We have that in our single Spotlight build, the Wish Protect. It's very strong. And yeah, it's pretty good. So Protect is just good on this Pokemon. Like, Protect's, like, you don't really have to explain it. Into our actual attacks, our flex moves that we can use, that we can put on the build if you want to change it. It's very customizable. You can definitely move a lot of attacks around. I just like the 4 set that we have, but you can definitely change that around. So a couple of moves that you can use. Muddy Water is great for doing spread damage. Multi-hitting is pretty good. Also, lowering accuracy is solid, but be careful. It is only a 90 accuracy move, I believe, or is it lower? Yeah, it's 85 accuracy, actually. So, you're going to miss sometimes, but lowering the accuracy of opposing Pokemon while also hitting damage on both Pokemon is a pretty solid strategy here, so that's good. We also have Ice Beam, which is pretty good. Ice Beam and Blizzard both doing very good damage with Ice, helping out your Grass weakness a lot, but we are pretty slow in both. Most common Grass-type Pokemon currently being played are very fast, things like Rotom C or Rotom Mo, or Venusaur. They're both commonly very fast, so, Blizzard and Ice Beam, you're going to be able to hit if you can live, but you can't live every attack from them. So they're good attacks and provide good coverage, but, kind of risky. And then we also have Shadow Ball here, which is just another good coverage move, special attack move. We don't have a lot of coverage attacks, but what we do have is pretty solid. Like, Shadow Ball is really good. Next, we have some support moves, things like Haze, Aqua Ring, Yawn, and Wish. Haze is pretty good, being able to lower the stats of everything on the field back to their original. Pretty good for max moves that your opponent's setting out, or weakness policy Pokemon, things like Rhyperior, Mudsdale, Swaggerone, Tempo, Belly Drum. A lot of really good moves that Haze just abolishes, which is really, really good. That's a word, right? Abolish? I think it is. Anyway, so then we have Aqua Ring being able to help out a little bit of damage. Like I said, with Leftovers, Aqua Ring, you're able to actually heal up a pretty decent amount each turn. And then, with even potentially like Protect, being able to heal up, just missing the turn so that you can heal up a little bit more with Aqua Ring and Leftovers. Aqua Ring's pretty decent, like it's good, but you have to be really careful of things like the Venusaur that can just OHKO you. So be careful. And like Fake Tears strats. So yeah. Next we have Yawn, which is just good. Like sleeping things in general is just really strong, especially in such a Dynamax conclusive format. That's not the right term. But yeah, in a very Dynamax heavy format, Yawn is just an amazing attack in general, but you'll want to really be careful of things like the Max Lightning that set that off so that Yawn can't activate. And a couple of other things obviously as well. Then we also have Wish. Like I was saying, Wish Protect is really powerful. Excuse me. Wish being able to heal you 50% on the next turn, which is really good. Wish Protect being able to guarantee your heal the next turn. And this Pokemon likes to be healed, obviously, because it's very, very bulky. Next, we have our actual EVs in our spread here. It's pretty basic, but it also just works pretty well. Actually, it's not super basic. Basic is usually just 252, 252, 4. We are not using that. So we are using 148 into HP and 148 into defense. Really, the only calc that's super, super important is the 212 into special attack. In this, I just calculated to be able to take easy 2-hit KOs on things like Incineroar, Dynamax, Excadrill, Rotom Form. Why did I say Rotom Form? That's not what I meant to say. I don't remember the other Pokemon. We have it in damage calcs. But yeah, 212 Modest gives us the damage output to be able to two-shot a lot of Pokemon with Scald, which is very, very good in general. And then we went with 148 HP into it so that we can live a Leaf Storm from the most used spread of Rotom Mo, which is pretty good, a nice little damage calc to have. And then we put the rest into defense just to, keep our bulk up a little bit with defense. So that's the explanation of the spread. I think it's a pretty good spread. I haven't actually tested it very much, so yeah. But I did run some damage calcs and stuff, and I think it's a pretty solid spread. As far as our synergetic Pokemon, we only really have one, the Excadrill here. Excadrill and Vaporeon cover each other's weaknesses pretty well. You know, being able to destroy Rotoms with Mold Breaker is very, very good, since Rotom is kind of the scariest Pokemon with Vaporeon, since they all have super effective spread with Thunderbolt or, you know, like Thunder Wave, or not Thunder Wave, Discharge, any moves like that, and also, you know, like Rotom C, but Rotom C does kind of wall out Excadrill, so that's really the biggest scare with this Pokemon. You'll want something that can deal with that, some kind of fire type Pokemon maybe, or Max Airstream user, something like that. But yeah, Excadrill helps a lot. It also, you know, when you use max moves like Steel Spike and Quake to really supplement your defenses, and Vaporeon likes some special defense and regular defense raises, of course, because it's a super bulky Pokemon, likes to be on the field for a long time. Anyway, so that's going to be it for our build in this slide in general. We'll go ahead and talk about some speed tiers here real quick. So we are here right in the middle at 85, a pretty decent speed tier. We outspeed a lot of good Pokemon, but at the same time, a lot of Pokemon will be outspeeding us. So we're pretty low in the totem pole, but not bad, not like too bad. We're on the same speed tier as Gothitelle, although famously Gothitelle will be using Trick Room, and a lot of Gothitelles will be underspeeding you, min speed, of course. So I'd say about half the time you'll be on the same speed tier as Gothitelle. Not very many. Like, honestly, Gothitelle has kind of been phased out more as a support Pokemon that can use Trick Room, or can use, I think it uses Imprison, right? Does it have Imprison? I don't know that offhand. Imprison. Yeah, it does. So, you know, a lot of them will just be denying Trick Room. So it'll be on the same speed tier a lot of the time. Things that we do outspeed, however, we outspeed things like Alcremie most of the time if it's uninvested, but it'll usually be uninvested. Sometimes it'll have max speed, so sometimes it'll be outspeeding you, but not super frequently. Same with Tyranitar here. Sometimes it'll have speed, but usually it's just going to be max HP, max attack, weakness policy, so keep that in mind. Also, if you're attacking a Tyranitar, keep that in mind, that you don't want to just activate its weakness policy, or else it's going to be very dangerous. Next, we have things like Sylveon, Lapras, Jellicent, this 80 speed tier. Other things on that speed tier is like Grimmsnarl, but it has Prankster, so it'll usually be outspeeding you. It also has like Aegislash, a couple of other Pokemon that I can't think of right off the top of my head. And then, of course, we're outspeeding a lot of other Pokemon, things like Trick Room Pokemon, Conkeldurr, Gastrodon, Rhyperior, you know, Ferrothorn, Torkoal, Dusclops, obviously all those very low speed Pokemon. Things like Scrafty will be outspeeding. So there's a lot of like Pokemon underspeeding us, which is pretty good. Things that we don't outspeed, however, things that outspeed us, things like Togekiss, Milotic, Indeedee Female, Indeedee Male, Form Change Rotom, Arcanine, Mimikyu, Dragapult, all the commonly famously fast Pokemon, Inteleon, Durant, everything Chlorophyll, Swift Swim users, Unburdened Pokemon, Scarf Pokemon. A lot of things are going to be outspeeding us because we're a pretty low speed tier, honestly. Hitting 85, it's not great, but it does outspeed a lot of those mid to low speed Pokemon, which is pretty solid. So yeah, that's about it for our speed tiers. We'll go ahead and talk about some damage calcs. So like I was saying, a lot of these are going to be us two-shotting things, which is really good. So first off, we have one defensive calc here, Rotom C, Leaf Storm. 164 special attack is the most common spread on Pikalytics, and with our 148 HP, we do guarantee to live that, unless it's Life Orb, but it's not usually going to be Life Orb, it's usually Citrus Berry. So it's pretty good, you know, being able to live that pretty easily. 83 to 99.1%, I say pretty easily, but it doesn't really leave any wiggle room for like a critical hit, but it does leave room for high rolls. Even if they hit the best roll at that speed, at that damage calc, if they're using that spread, then they can't hit a guaranteed OHKO, which is really, really good. Next, we have our Vaporeon Scald into a Dynamaxed Excadrill, hitting 50 to 58%, a guaranteed 2-hit KO, which is really good. That's where that 216 plus special attack stat really comes into play, and hitting that Dynamaxed Excadrill for a guaranteed 2-hit KO is pretty solid. And then also hitting that Incineroar, a very defensive Incineroar, this is the most common spread, hitting for 51 to 61%, a guaranteed 2-hit KO. Once again, very, very good. Also doesn't provide, neither of those Pokemon really provide much damage against our Vaporeon, which is pretty cool. So, I mean, obviously, like a Snarl would be annoying, Fake Out would be annoying, but it wouldn't really prolong that, or it wouldn't really do much. It would kind of just like prolong the fact that we guaranteed 2-hit KO them with Scald, which is pretty good. Not to mention the fact that if you hit a burn on either of those Pokemon, I mean, obviously, like, it's impacting on the Excadrill, so that's pretty good. Like, Scald is good. Next, we have our Vaporeon Scald into a Tyranitar in Sand, also providing a 99.6% chance to 2-hit KO. This one's very, very close to hitting that OHKO, or that guaranteed 2-hit KO, but 99.6, that's like a role that I'm willing to take is the fact that we're gonna hit like a little bit higher than the min roll once out of those 2 hits. Like, we're definitely going to. So yeah, it's a pretty good speed tier there, or damage calc there. I said speed tier, I don't know why. Pretty good damage calc there against the Charizard as well. I said Charizard, Tyrannosaur. Can't talk today. Anyway, then we have Vaporeon, Ice Beam, and Togekiss, not hitting a lot of damage, only hitting 45 to 53, a 34% chance to 2-hit KO, not even guaranteed, not the best damage calc. And then next we have Venusaur Leaf Storm into our Vaporeon, hitting 96 to 113%, a 75% chance to OHKO. This one sucks. We don't want to see a Venusaur across the field. Anyway, I'm taking long for this video. We're almost at 16 minutes, so we're going to move on. We're going to keep pushing forward into Single Spotlight. So our Single Spotlight build is playing Water Absorb and Leftovers just to be able to heal up a little bit there. And it's really good. Single Spotlight, Water Absorb likes it because you can just switch it in against a water type attack and read that pretty easily, get a little bit of heal, which is good. And then we're also running Haze, Wish, Protect, and Scald. Scald for some damage and hitting burns, and then Haze for dropping our opponent's stats back to normal. If they try to set up with Swords Dance or something, you have Haze, so haha. And then we're also using Wish and Protect just to heal up our damage next turn, guaranteed 50%. Pretty solid stuff. Our EV spread is just pretty basic, 252 into HP and 252 in defense, just being very, very bulky. Also bold nature, just giving us the most defense as possible. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you want to. If you like Vaporeon, like and subscribe. If you like Not Gym, like and subscribe. Any of those, like and subscribe. Also, not to mention, I made a Twitter, so follow my Twitter. I'll start linking that down below. Also, join my Discord. Shameless plug, shameless plug, shameless plug. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Vaporeon is pretty cool in VGC as well as singles, and it's just a pretty cool Pokemon. It's not super great. It doesn't have great damage calc, but it's very, very bulky and has a good move pool for support. Also, being able to hit hit a guaranteed 2-hit KO against a lot of really commonly big Pokemon in VGC. It's pretty solid. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. We're at 17 minutes, so I'm leaving. Goodbye.